Hello, ladies and gentlemen. It's Steven here with MTarget.
Hi.
Yeah,
I'm
there he
fried.
is.
I'm sorry, everybody. I just literally sprinted out of work.
And you're actually wearing your Dota 2 shirt. That's appropriate. They can't see you.
Oh, yeah, whatever.
Yeah, he's wearing a Dota 2 shirt. But anyway, so we're here to talk about Fantasy Dota 2 in the Battle Pass this year. It was there last year. And if you've ever played traditional, quote unquote, daily fantasy sports, stuff like football, MMA has it, that kind. It's different from traditional fantasy sports, but it's very similar to daily fantasy sports. And basically,
Yes.
Yeah.
I had to follow that loop. It was like doing the math. Yes, he's right.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. But anyway, so it's like regular daily fantasy sports. It's similar if you've ever played it to Counter Move or what's the big daily fantasy sports site?
Oh, Alpha Draft used to be one.
DraftKings.
DraftKings. There we go.
Yeah, it's like DraftKings.
Alpha Draft was bought by DraftKings.
Yeah. So it was Counter Move. Counter Move was the MMA and pro wrestling specific one. But anyway, we're going to do it. I am going to steal Nahaz's gimmick for today. I made up a fancy pantsy slideshow and going to go over it. And yeah, if you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment and make sure to subscribe because we are going to actually be doing daily recommendations on who to pick for your fantasy team once we actually start seeing TI8 once we know the schedule is the big thing. So I'm going to share my screen. Locking on. Okay. Can you see it?
Yep.
All right. So, motherfucking slideshow up in here. So what the hell is Fantasy Dota 2 and how do I win? So like I said, it works a lot like DraftKings. You pick out a team of pro players. Everybody can hypothetically pick whoever they feel like. It's not like regular fantasy sports where you have your own roster and you can trade the individual players and blah, blah, blah. Everybody can pick whoever they want. And you acquire points based on the real life performances of the players. And those points are basically compared and contrasted to every other person playing in the entire world. So you get points for pretty much anything that can be statistically quantified in Dota 2. Most obvious are kills, CS, damage, etc. Also included are things you wouldn't necessarily expect, like wards planted, runes picked up, camps stacked, etc. Again, you get points that are totaled throughout the entirety of TI8. You're given a percentile, and the higher the percentile, the more battle pass levels you end up getting out of it. And the more battle pass levels you get out of it, the more skins you get. And that's what we're ultimately doing this for. So, instead of regular fantasy sports, they have cards. And you've probably seen them as you level up your battle pass. You get 5 packs of cards at a time. You open them up, you get 5 cards, and you get more packs as you level up your battle pass. And there are 3 tiers, being rare, uncommon, and common. And you can see an example of each on the screen there. With my PPD card there, getting 5 boosts as a rare. My Ice card getting 3 boosts as an uncommon, and my Pili die getting nothing. And getting boosts to those specific stats is important over the course of all of TI8, because that obviously allows you to get more points, and a little bit goes a long way in terms of bumping up your percentile.
To note, I will say really quickly, the last 2 years, you do not need to have, I mean, just because it's so crazy and everything, your common's obviously not really good for dropping stuff, but the way that the system works, it's pretty easy to get silvers and golds for people. Not necessarily all golds, but you also don't need to worry about having like all golds to like top out in your friends group or even like internationally, because I know like last year when Knoxville, Purge, and there was one other guy, I don't remember who, it wasn't Nahaz, but there were 3 guys that were basically like comparing every day to each other, and they would often sub in these really good silvers that they had, because either they didn't have a gold for that character or that player, or they liked one or two stats that were really good on it.
Yeah.
So don't freak out if you don't have golds like everywhere.
Yeah, 100%. It's mostly about this thing on the next slide. So how do you pick your team? Or the slide after that, sorry. How do you pick your team? You probably figured it out by now, but in case you haven't, you go to your battle pass, you open up your compendium, you click the fantasy tab, and you just click the change card icons to have somebody in there. So that's just if you really don't know what you're doing. So who should you choose each day? This is what I was referencing. The most important thing of all, 100%, is to make sure you pick based on who's playing the most each day.
I have definitely messed that up more times than I care to admit, where I picked somebody because like I did like 2 or 3 days in a row because I wasn't going to be at my computer.
Yeah. So
you then go, oh wait, I put those all on the wrong days.
Yeah. During the group stages, a team can play anywhere from 1 series a day to 3 series that day. And during the main event, teams will play 1 series or 2 series depending on the day and depending on where they fall in the actual TI8 bracket. You want to make sure on each day that you're getting in as many games played by your players as possible. More games equals more points. It's not averaged out, and it's not like some traditional fantasy sports where you might want to bench a player in fear of having them lose you a game based on fumbles or something like that. You want to just make sure you're getting in as many reps as possible every single day at every position. And that trumps everything. That trumps everything. It trumps, if Virtus Pro is playing 1 game a day, you might be inclined, it's Virtus Pro, they're great. No, you play the team that's playing the most games. Whether
and
that's
you expect to do well.
Yeah. You need, and that's the biggest thing. If you just make sure that you play whoever is playing the most on any given day throughout the entirety of TI8, you're probably going to end up having a decent score just on that. A lot of people don't really know that, but if you just do that, you're going to do reasonably well. And again, it trumps card rarities too. If you have a silver or a common even that's going to play 2 games and you have a gold that's going to play, or excuse me, if you have a silver that's going to play 3 games and a gold that's going to play 2, you go with the silver because again, having the most games each day is most important. Past that, that's when you start getting into the matchups, and you want to have, basically you pick your players based upon who they're playing. You want to prey upon the weak teams, and you generally want to play the strong players when you have the opportunity. So I did a little bit of a kind of theoretical tier system for where things kind of stand right now. This is going to be completely blown up by the time TI8 rolls around, but here's how it stands right now. So the top tier, pretty clear cut, are Virtus Pro, Team Liquid, PSG, LGD. Agree, disagree?
Yes, I agree with those 3.
Okay, nobody that you'd want to include with them?
For top tier, no, I think those are the 3 teams that if they're playing more than 1 series that day, you put them in basically no matter what. Yeah. The only problem here is if if multiples of these teams are playing at the same time, you need to then consider how are these teams going to do? Because technically it is possible for a team to do too well for your card to get you points. Again, too well, complicated, everything else, but very rare, but something that you can nitpick and consider.
Generally speaking, a longer game will get you more points.
Yes.
Generally speaking. So, if
if you go 3 out of 3 instead of 2 out of 3, obviously.
A 45-minute loss for Virtus Pro might be better than a 15-minute win for Virtus Pro. Long story short.
For your cards, not necessarily for Virtus Pro.
Yeah, not for Virtus Pro. We don't care about them. But anyway. So in the upper tier, I've got Optic Gaming, Vici Gaming J Storm, Windstrike, and Vici Gaming. I feel like they've been consistent enough over recent months. They've got multiple strong performances. that I think you can feel pretty safe in picking them right now. As it stands right now, the bottom tier, who you're going to, at least at the very start, want to try and prey upon are Pain Gaming, Team Serenity, and TNC Predators. And then that question mark,
but that's okay.
Which one do you disagree on?
We both know how I feel about Pain Gaming. I think that Pain Gaming is a much bigger sleeper than anybody is willing to admit. I don't think that they're like gonna like sleeper win TI, but I see them as that. You know, when TNC knocked out OG, or better, not quite Digital Chaos run levels, but close. I really do think that, assuming that Pain Gaming doesn't totally fall apart, I see them doing really, really good things. That team just, they get better every tournament.
Serenity and TNC, though, you agree on them?
Those teams are dead on arrival. They're going to be chum for the Sharks, is a better way to put it.
Yeah, probably. Then again, anyway, to move along, that question mark tier over to the left there are teams that we really, really have no clue what they're going to look like at TI8 for various reasons. In the case of Fnatic, Newbie, Secret, and even VG Gaming, J Thunder, and Mineski, they are very inconsistent on a tournament by tournament basis. They could bring their A game to TI8. They could bring their D game to TI8. We don't know. Evil Geniuses, in their case, they've got an incredibly talented lineup. They could gel into being a possible favorite.
They finally almost looked good.
Yeah, they could end up gelling, or they could, not. That's going to be really important. We've got a tournament at the end of the month, the Summit 10, which is actually going to be a really good window into how good VG Gaming, J Storm, Fnatic, and EG are heading into TI8. That's going to be worth watching. But anyway, this is just the general how you want to look at different teams for now. So what are the best cards? You got your cards. Which ones do you want to choose? So as we were discussing, different stats are boosted based upon a uncommon or rare card. Not all cards are going to have the same stat boosts. As you can see, I've got 2 silver Sumails there. They have very different stat boosts. In the case of the Sumail card on the left, it's got creep score, Roshan kills, and team fights boosted. In the case of Sumail on the right, it's got observer wards planted, camp stacked, and GPM. Generally speaking, the one on the left is probably going to get me more points because those are better stats that are boosted than the one on the right. The GPM one is nice. He's probably not going to be planting many wards or stacking many camps.
I was going to say for Sumail specifically, I agree. Now, if you were to put this exact same card, like just look at both of these, just change the player to say Jerax.
We get into that later.
Oh, okay. Sorry. I skimmed it. I skimmed the PowerPoint before, but I forgot where things were.
Yeah, in general, and a general little thing to look out for right now is for your support position. Try and get number 4s over number 5s. The way the meta is kind of shaking out right now, in my opinion, is that we're going to see a lot more in the way of like poverty number 5 players, where there'll be a Bane and they'll finish a winning game with brown boots, TP scroll, and some wards. The number 4s, not so much, and we'll look into that later. If you don't know what I mean, check out the Liquipedia page for a team. They give you the number 1 through 5 positions. Again, generally speaking, for how the meta is shaking out right now, you're going to want to lean in the direction of number 4s over number 5s for your support position. So, stat boosts to avoid by position. For cores, you don't want wards planted. You don't want camp stacked. You don't want runes grabbed. That is, generally speaking, what you're going to want to avoid for your carries. For your supports, you're going to want to avoid GPM, kills, and creep score. We've all played Dota 2. We know what cores do. We know what supports do. Use your head. So, little trivia here. You see my gold PPD card. I've got a question for you. MTarget. Is this a good card?
It's a god-awful card. Even when PPD played core, it was awful.
It is a god-awful card.
To be fair, if you put that on Miracle, Sumail, any like hardcore 1 or mid, great.
Yep. So yeah, is this a good card? Hell no. PPD is really bad for fantasy. Just in general, like I said, he plays Poverty Bane. Here's a Poverty Bane stat line for a win. He placed a lot of wards, did no damage, did no healing, got no CS, died a lot, got no kills, got low GPM. In comparison to Zai, who was the number 4 spot, who did reasonably well, this is an extreme example, but it's something that's a possibility for you. And not only that, but he's a support player. And in general, you're not going to see super great stats for creep kills, GPM, tower kills, or team fight on a really hard 5. He's not going to be pushing towers. He's not going to be getting kills. He's not getting farm. So these stat boosts are worthless to me. This is a bad card. You wouldn't want to play it. And that's why I have it in
that shit.
Yeah, it's not good. So last but not least, general tips. One, like I said, and this is going to sound pandering, but it's not. Subscribe to us. Click the bell. Like, comment, and subscribe. We are going to be doing daily recommendations when the time comes. The best way to get the most points out of your battle pass is going to be to have, a little bit of insight from us into how to actually play any given day. Another thing that's not as pandering is always dust your extra commons. There's just no reason to keep them. Like, there's no collectability to them. You don't get to keep them after the battle pass goes away. It's not like a TI4 and earlier where you got to actually like trade and keep the cards. If you remember those, where they were just an item in your Steam inventory.
What happened to those cards? I haven't seen them in forever.
I think they got deleted eventually.
Yeah, see, I thought I had a couple, but like no good ones worth trading. But
I might. But either way, there's no reason to keep them anymore. Just dust them. And if you have multiple silvers or golds, again, I dusted that bad Sumail. There's no reason to keep it.
Yeah, I need to go. I personally need to go through and do that. And we might I might steal the login info or just like stream this like solo where I just go through all of my cards and dust some and put some up. So you guys might be able to get some insight into why we think some cards are good or bad.
Yeah, some quality hashtag content idea there.
Like that.
And yeah, so this is a really weird year for TI8 in my opinion. Just in general, there are a lot of just X factors. None of the teams have really looked consistently great outside of like Virtus Pro, and even they are kind of shaky sometimes. We've seen weakness from pretty much every team from top to bottom. And there are probably 15 or so teams that I could reasonably say, yeah, they are top 8 potential. We're going to get a lot of information in the group stages. Those first couple days are going to reveal a lot about what you can expect from the teams heading into the actual tournament. And it's going to be worth paying attention to more so than previous years. Again, like I said, EG is a team. I could see them finishing. I could see them washing out of the group stages, honestly. I could see them making a top 4 run. Both are very much in play. So it's going to be a tricky year. So the best way to play that is to like, comment, and subscribe to make sure you watch our videos on who you should play. So I'm going to stop sharing, exit. Okay, you can see me?
Yeah, I see you.
All right. So anything else we want to talk about?
Nope.
All right. So, again, we're going to be doing fantasy specific stuff as time goes on. We're going to do some other random fun battle pass stuff. If you have any questions, you can comment. I'll probably respond, or you can like us or hit us up on Twitter. We don't get enough notifications where we won't notice. So feel free to reach out. We're also probably going to start doing actual like podcasty type stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're going to do like actual podcasty type content where we talk about, any kind of interesting stuff happening in the pro scene. Maybe just reflect upon what we did in Dota 2 recently. We might like try out troll builds and see what happens.
Oh, I am used to be the king of troll building.
I have a friend.
I did some dumb shit.
I have a friend who's been preaching about Magnus with Meteor Hammer.
Meme Hammer's good on almost everyone right now. So
Yeah, but it seems really interesting because obviously you RP and then just drop it on top and you get the double stun with the damage.
yeah.
Yeah, we'll figure out some content if we get enough engagement from you people. We'll do like a mailbag thing because everybody does those if they can get enough engagement. So any other stuff?
Nope.
All
I'm
right,
gonna
so
go to a bar.
yeah, he's
So
getting his drink on. I am dealing with a dishwasher.
enjoy.
My night's going to be a lot more not fun. So everybody have a great week. Have a great weekend because it's Friday. You got to get down on Friday.
Something like that.
Yeah.